you're a professional?
Are you?
That's it, Clark. Show him who's boss.
Oh, we're all in this together.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video on the Clark Griswold YouTube channel. Thank you guys for being here. If you are new to the channel or new to the strat, then welcome to you guys as well. We are about to change the way that you guys trade in the market. To my old subscribers, thank you. My recent subscribers, thank you. The channel is growing quite significantly. It's very exciting for me. If you haven't subscribed yet, you can do so down below. Click that subscribe button, hit that bell. That bell gives you the notifications for when I send out videos just like this one, our daily watch list. I also send out top 5 watch lists, motivational videos, informational videos, learning tools. Guys, I've got over 200 videos for you guys to go through and learn the strat. I've got videos on Sarah Strat Sniper's 50% rule, Paul Ituaro's hashtag 30 and 30, what these numbers under the candlesticks means, entries and exits, how to play 3-1 setups, inside bars, outside bars. I could go on and on. I've got video upon video upon video, so make sure you guys are subscribing and checking out those lists, those videos. You can also follow me on Twitter at Mr. Clark Griswold. Follow me there. You can comment there. You can DM me there. Ask me any question. There's no silly questions. There's no dumb questions. I will answer whatever you guys need answered, okay? I'm here to help you guys out. You can also ask questions or comment down below in the comment section on any one of my videos. Okay, so let's get started. I sent out a tweet telling you guys that all we're going to be looking at are inside bars. That's basically what the market has given us, is inside bars. Friday was an inside bar day for a lot of things. And basically what's happened is we have these inside bars on the daily, and on the weekly we have these failed twos, two ups that have finished red. Okay, so we'll go through a bunch of those as we go through these plays. And then I've also got a top 5 watch list that is out or will be out. We're going to do a weekly swing video for June, what am I looking at, 4th, 5th, June 6th, okay? And then I'm also going to do one other special video with a special top 5 video, just for some really great setups that we've got, okay? So there'll be a bunch of videos out for you guys this weekend. So let's get started on this, our main watch list. We're going to start with Neo. Okay, so I don't know if you guys watched the inside bar video I've got that I told you guys to watch it. I tweeted out. It's really crappy audio. It's one of the very first videos that I did. So it was before I kind of figured out the microphone and everything else, but let's talk about inside bars before we get into these plays. So inside bars in the strat, we call them a 1 bar, okay? And an inside bar does not break the high or the low of the previous candle, okay? And these inside bars happen on all time frames, okay? Just like outside bars happen on all time frames. So when we're looking at inside bars, they don't break the high or the low. They stay within the range, and they're consolidating. It shows consolidation within the ticker, and it's a tightening range. And when I always think about these, I think about them as a spring. And if you think about a spring getting tighter and coiling and coiling and coiling and getting tighter, 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 and you let go of that, eventually that thing explodes and it goes to one direction or the other. And we can go back in time and look at inside bars as they happen, and guys, it doesn't work. It's not 100% foolproof plan, but you can look and see a lot of times when we get these inside bars, we get really big moves to one side or the other. So you can see on all these inside bars, there's big moves that happen on them. And when I first started getting really good, here's another one, really good at trading options, I started making money at options. It was because I started trading the inside bar. okay? And that's what helped make me successful. And then I learned about the strat, and it just kind of progressed from there. So let's go through NEO and its inside bar that it had on Friday. I'm just going to put in some targets here before we get going. So NEO had this inside bar. So what we look for on the inside bar is a break to the high or the low of this inside bar, okay? So we can take calls, or you can buy common shares at $18.74. And then when we're looking for targets or areas to take profit, we just look at the high of the preceding wicks or candles. So here, here, and then we got to go back and take the next one right there. And then when we go to the downside, it's the same thing. We just take the bottom of the preceding wick. So there, there. And then when we have gaps, I've talked about this before. Gap meaning there's no candle in between here, in between these 2 points. I'll zoom in to show you. There's no candle filling this space, so we take the top to fill that gap, and then we can go down to the bottom of that wick, okay? So if we're looking, if we're looking for calls on this one, we can take calls at $18.74, and we can take puts at $17.81, and then our targets are these green lines. So this day in the week, we aren't going to know what they are. We did go 2 up on the month already, and I told you guys we were going to. We have. So I expect this week and this day to be green going into next week, but you know, we'll see. You never know what happens. But we have gone 2 up already on the month for NEO. So let's just start rolling through these now. And like I said, these are mostly all inside bars. If not inside, they're 3-1 setups, okay? I don't think I've got any reversals on here. So we can look at Microsoft. Microsoft has this inside bar. The month, quarter, and year are all red. We'll have to wait for Monday for everything to open to see the direction of this day and this week. If you want that indicator, click on your indicator tab. Type in time frame continuity. Author is Board Rider B. If you want these candle numbers, you can type in candle type. The Strat and Crinklebind is the author for that. Okay, so inside bar on Microsoft, we can take calls at 273.45, puts at 268.41. This pink line is our weekly trigger. So our first target on the downside to Microsoft is the trigger for the weekly to go 2 down. Okay. Disney, DIS. Disney has an inside bar. We can take calls at 109.86, puts at 107.92. If we trigger on the day, then we are also going to trigger on the week, so we can look to run this play a little longer. The other thing that guys always ask me, what do I take my expiry? I take the closest expiry, guys. And that's just the way I like to play. So for Disney, it's probably Wednesday. The next one would be Friday for expiry. If we're looking for strike prices, if we're going to the upside, our trigger is 109.86, so I'm taking 110. If we have puts, I would be taking 107. Okay? So I take the next closest, usually. On to the next one, Cisco, CSCO. Cisco has an inside bar. I'll just move this up a bit. So we're there. Inside bar, we can take calls at 45.71, puts at 45.10. And then again, we have this trigger to the weekly to the downside. So you could take Cisco a little bit longer if you chose to. Procter & Gamble, inside bar, we can take calls at 147.21, puts at 145.12. Airbnb is up next. Airbnb, inside. I'm not even going to call these inside bars anymore. They're all inside bars. Okay, so calls at 121.50, puts at 117.56. Our second target, again, is our trigger for the weekly. And if we just go into the weekly, I'll show you guys what I was talking about. We have these 2 ups that finished red all over the place off of these daily inside bars. So on the day, we've got inside bars. On the week, we've got 2 ups that finished red. Okay, and it happens a lot. It's a lot of these plays have it. Okay, so Adobe, we can take calls at 438.01, puts at 427.26. We have triggered the month to the upside, so we're 2 up on the month. AMD calls at 109.41, puts at 104.65. We have triggered to the upside on the month, so the month is 2 up as well on ATVI. On AMD. ATVI has this inside bar. I don't really like playing ATVI, but we have an inside bar on it. So calls at 78.11, puts at 77.66. BIDU inside bar. I know I said I was going to stop saying that. I just can't. Inside bar on BIDU. Okay, so we can take calls at 145.42. Puts at 142.22. Actually, let's move this down. It'll be less than that. A little more. 142 is probably 05. 142.01. Okay, and then our second target on the way down is the trigger on the weekly, as you can see right here. Okay, so next up, CRM. CRM, we could take calls at 189.64, puts at 183.80. I keep glitching. I keep on saying this, but this indicator keeps on glitching on me. I'm not sure if it's happening the same thing with you guys. Anyways, calls 189.64, puts 183.80 on CRM. Datadog, this is what I mean, glitching. I don't get it. Calls at 110.95, puts at 103.67. Diamonds, DIA, it's a Dow Jones Industrial ETF. Calls at 331.73, puts at 328.73. And we are all red, guys, all red. And this, again, inside bar, and this is a 2 up, right? I don't even need to look at it. Let's go to the weekly. I'll show you guys. 2 up, finish red, okay? So, first target of the day is the trigger for the weekly. And like I said, there are a ton of those on these setups. Inside bar, DocuSign, calls at 86.13, puts 82.74, full time frame. And second targets are first triggers on our weekly plays. EW calls at $100.21, puts $96.38. First target is a trigger on the weekly. Facebook inside bar calls 196.60, puts 189.78. We can move that first target down just a hair. And second target is first trigger to the downside on the weekly. Fubo inside bar calls 351, puts 328, trigger to the downside on the weekly. IWM calls 187.92, puts 185.78. KDP, it's Keurig Dr. Pepper inside bar, calls 35.29, puts 34.83. Coca-Cola, here's a little bit of a different one, 3-1 setup. Okay, so this is a rare pattern when we get this outside bar or this 3 bar followed by an inside bar. Okay, so we can take calls on this at 63.63, puts at 62.81. We also have a inside bar on Coca-Cola. We will look at that one on the weekly. But again, looks like second target to the upside is the trigger for the weekly. First target to the downside is trigger on the weekly. And guys, gals too, if we go back and look at time, at the last 3-1 setup we had on Coke, right here, wasn't great. 3-1, we barely came down, and actually we gapped down. Okay, so you'd have to go back to the 15-minute chart to see how this one would have worked out, because it would have been nullified and we would have then had to play the gap. Okay, so let's go back and see if we can find another one here. 3-1 setup, there it is, but we went 3, and then we went onto the double inside bar. Okay, and then we had this beautiful run up here. These things are golden, these double inside bars. Stay tuned for more on that. Let's see. These 3-1s, like I said, guys, they don't happen very often. Here's one right here. This is the only one we'll look at here. 3-1, and we had this beautiful break to the upside, hitting 1, 2, 3, not quite the fourth target. We were just shy of it. So they're rare patterns, and they are usually very successful, okay? It's not 100% guaranteed, but it's very probable off of these 3-1 setups that we get a really nice run or a really nice gain. So that one's on Coke. Lyft is up next, LYFT. Lyft has an inside bar, full time frame, inside bar on the weekly as well. So we can take calls at 18.11. First target to the upside is the trigger for the weekly. Calls at puts at 17.31, and our second target is a trigger for the weekly to the downside on Lyft. MRVL inside bar, calls 61.06, puts 58.76, two up that finished red on the weekly. I already know that. We'll look at that in the weekly video, but our second target to the downside is the trigger for the weekly. Netflix inside bar, calls at 202.95, puts at 198.05. This is our two up red trigger down here, but we've also triggered to the upside on the month. Okay, so we can go into, let me readjust this. There you go. There's our monthly, that's green. Our weekly, let me go look at this. Our weekly was green, so that is an old indicator that I did not delete. So just the inside bar. I would look for this to trend up and through to retrace the month again. Nike NKE. NKE has an inside bar. We've triggered two up on the month already. We can take calls 122.54, puts at 119.98. NVDA inside bar, calls 193.27, puts 185.22. Our second target to the downside is this two up red, so we can look for this trigger as well right here on the weekly. And I'll say it again, there are a ton of them. Go back and look at them, guys. Everything that I'm going through, go check it out. Inside bar on Oracle, calls at 72.95, put 71.23. Our first target is the trigger for the weekly. So I based on all these plays, I think we're going to have some really nice action next week. Here's one of those 3-1 setups that I was telling you about, and we ran up for 2, 3, 4 days really before we came back down. Let's go to Palantir, PLTR, inside bar, calls 9.25, puts 8.86, two up, finish red. Here is our trigger, which is the second target on the daily for Palantir. PayPal, inside bar, calls 88.10, puts 85.69. QQQ, look at this, outside bar, inside bar. So we 3-1 setup. We can take calls at 310.57, puts at 304.92. Our first target, again, is our trigger to the downside. Let's go back in time to see the last time we had a 3-1 setup on QQQ. Here it was, and looks like we were shy of first targets on that one. Let's go take a look at one more, and then we'll move on. So the next one here, we're in December of 2021, and this big gap up. So you could have played the gap on this. You probably would have made a lot of money on that. You can go check out the gap video that I have if you're wondering how to play the gaps. Just one more video that I've got out for you. Also, broadening formations. Got a broadening formation out for you guys as well, and hopefully that helps you guys learn a little bit on that facet. RBLX, Roblox, inside bar. Let me zoom in here for you guys. And again, same thing as we've been going through. Inside bar, calls 32.39, puts 29.86, are just past our first target. Before we hit second targets is our trigger for the weekly on Roblox. Space, inside bar, calls 7.23, puts 6.87. Second target is our trigger for the weekly. Teladoc, inside bar, calls at 35.80, puts 33.98. Our second target is the trigger for the weekly. I'm repeating myself on every single one of these. It's the same over and over and over again. And guys, let me tell you something. When you guys can simplify your trading, when we take off the indicators, we take off RSI, we take off VWAP, we take off all of these lines that we've got on here, you take them off and you simplify trading, guys, and trading becomes simplified. Okay? You learn this, you watch this stuff, it'll become like breathing. You can't unsee it. Once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. It's all you're going to see when you look at charts. Okay, this is the easiest way for you guys to trade. Far and away the easiest way you guys can trade. Okay, so inside bar on Uber, 24.50 calls, puts at 23.73. Upstart UPST, inside bar, calls at 50.77, puts 46.44. Second, actually that's the first target, is the first trigger on the weekly. Walmart WMT, inside bar, calls at 127.42, puts at 125.09. Our first target is the trigger for 2 down on the weekly. XEL's got a 3-1 setup. You can see the last time we had a 3-1 setup, ran down, did not hit targets, but it was still a pretty good run down off of that 3-1. If we go back to check out one more, right here, way down, 3-1 setup. Look at this run. Holy smokes. From 69.33 all the way down to 67.98. What a run off of that 3-1 setup. Okay, I do have a video on the 3-1 setups as well if you guys want to go check that out. But we can take calls on this one, 75.64. Our second target is the trigger on the inside bar on the weekly. And we can take puts at 74.72. Our first target is the trigger to go down on the weekly. Okay, Snap, SNAP. This is the last one on the list, guys. Snap has an inside bar. There's also an inside bar on the weekly, as you can tell by these pink lines. Okay, so we can take calls at 14.87. Second target is the trigger for the weekly. Puts at 14.20. Second target is the trigger for the weekly to the downside. Guys, I hope you liked the video. There will be a top 5 video and a very special top 5 video also out this weekend. Make sure you guys are checking out both of those. I'm also going to put out a weekly swing video for you guys. Okay, so have a good weekend, guys. Enjoy it. Make sure you guys are following on Twitter, subscribing down below, and we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.